Please recognize also from Oregon, the Congresswoman Chavez-DeRemer for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Chairman. Good to see you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you for coming to testify today. I know it's been a long day. I've heard from an alarming number of constituents concerned about illegal vehicular camping occurring with the Deschutes County National Forest in my district. These activities are not only taken away from vital public resources from my constituents, but also leading to lasting environmental damage. Around Phil's Trailhead and along China Hat Road, there have been numerous reports of unsanctioned bonfires, trash dumping and burning, drug usage, dumping of human waste, trespassing onto adjacent private property, as well as violent crime throughout. Not only is there a concern that there is no concrete plan of action to address these concerns, but also I am told that local volunteer organizations that are trying to work with the Forest Service will no longer be deployed due to safety concerns. Do you believe the current citation system is effective, or are stronger enforcement mechanisms needed to ensure that those that are trespassing will be held accountable and stop the damage from getting worse?
Well, I think we need to look into that particular set of issues. I'm more than happy to do that. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. If there needs to be stronger enforcement, we'll obviously take a look at that. But in the meantime, let's figure out what we can do with this specific concern that you've expressed.
So you'll commit to work with my office and the local agencies
Sure.
To find the solutions that are workable for us
Sure.
both. Thank you. I would also like to note that my office is aware of the Northwest Forest Plan Federal Advisory Committee planning session that recently happened in Eugene, Oregon. The FAC was established to bring in different perspectives to amend the National Forest Plan. I would hope that our office would be seen as a partner in any discussions involving our Northwest forest areas and will be involved in any future correspondence. But moving on, it was recently discovered that a Chinese billionaire, now I know my colleague mentioned these about owning foreign ownership of U.S. farmland. After an $85 million purchase and nearly 200,000 acres of timberland in Oregon went unchecked for nearly 10 years. Ownership of U.S. farmland by foreign adversaries not only makes U.S. farmers and ranchers uneasy about our nation's food security, but it also poses serious concerns about the ability for the next generation of farmers to access land and begin farming and ranching for themselves. I heard your answer previously, but Mr. Secretary, do you believe that there are effective enforcement mechanisms existing within the USDA currently to ensure foreign land ownership does not go unchecked, or are more enforcement abilities needed within the USDA or another agency?
More is needed because right now we have a self-reporting system. There are over 3,000 county recorder offices in the country. It is very difficult for USDA to monitor all 3,000 county recorder offices for deeds that are being filed. So I think there is a need for a conversation about precisely how far folks want to go to be able to know what transactions are taking place. Do you want a public database where every transaction of real estate in this country will be funneled into a single database that the federal government will have access to?
Well, certainly to go unchecked, and in this particular case, the purchaser was tied to the Chinese Communist Party, and that's why I question that. So I do hope that we can move further on this issue. I have a specific letter in to your office asking that, so let's move on. I want to highlight that in Oregon, wheat growers rely heavily on utilizing the Columbia Snake River system. And as 90% of Oregon wheat is exported and over 60% of all U.S. wheat is transported through the river systems to markets overseas. This transportation method not only is safe and efficient, but it also is cost-effective. Mr. Secretary, if the lower Snake River dams were to be breached and we lose this valuable transportation system, do you believe we will be able to continue to transport this volume of wheat to meet the global market demands?
You know, I think Congress has the ability to determine whether or not a dam is going to be breached, and so you would obviously have the ability to stop that if there was a problem with agriculture.
But do you believe that if this transportation is so valuable, would we be able to continue to transport the wheat volume if those lower snake dams were removed?
Well, I would assume that you wouldn't let that happen.
I won't have time for this next question on some labor questions, so I'll submit it for the record, Mr. Chairman, and with that, I'll yield back my time.
Gentlelady yields back.